Okay, this is clip number 6 in how to use the NASB at Lockman.org. And I have here John chapter 3. And here's John 3:16, which we've seen before. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Now, in this clip, I just want to show you some of the limitations of the search, because there are things that it won't do here. And one of them is searches in quote marks. For example, for God so loved. So let's say we wanted to ask ourselves, are there other verses in the Bible where it says God so loved? So if you were working on a normal search engine, you would type God so loved. And of course, these are not case sensitive. So whether I put capitals in there or not, it doesn't make any difference. But if I entered God so loved, it comes back and it says no verses matched. Well, we just saw, if I go back, we just saw that for God so loved. So there's so loved right there. So how could it say it's no match? Well, the reason is that it doesn't do searches with quotes. It won't do exact searches. It'll just do the specific word that you put in there, and that's exactly what you'll get back. So just be aware of that limitation. Now, with time, Lockman Foundation may enhance their search function, and it may become more like the major search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo. But until it does, just be aware that you've got this limitation. And then there's another limitation that is linguistic. It's not technical. And the best example I can think of to show you that would be Jesus. So let's say I want to see everywhere the name Jesus comes up in the Bible. And here we go, 948 times. And you'll notice the very first occurrence is Matthew. So apparently there are no Old Testament verses with the word or the name Jesus in it. So let's check that. Let's go back, and we don't really have to check it, but since I'm trying to teach you how to use this system, we'll just make this extra redundant check. We'll search the Old Testament for the name Jesus, and it should come back and tell us it can't find anything. And it can't. So we might say from that, well, the name Jesus doesn't appear in the Old Testament, except for the fact that Jesus is an English word that comes to us from the Greek. The name Jesus, the name that was Jesus in Greek was Joshua in Hebrew. So the equivalent in the Old Testament to Jesus is Joshua. And if you did a search on Joshua, you would certainly find it. And that's an important fact to know, because Joshua was a type of Jesus. He showed us what Jesus was like. He followed Moses. He was a great leader of God's people. He led them into the promised land, and in many other ways was a great representative and a foreshadowing and a type of Jesus. But if we use too limited an understanding of words, we could erroneously conclude that the name Jesus is not in the Old Testament. So just be aware of that limitation too. That's all. Next time we'll talk about how to do a word study using this tool.